Hey everybody, it's Brian Costello here from Core Mental Health Counseling. I just want to share this video with you today about attachment theory. We're just going to get right into it. So attachment theory has a lot to do with the way that we formed an attachment with our caregiver so early on. So if the and there are two types of attachment styles. So there is an insecure attachment style and there's a secure attachment style. So in the secure attachment style, that child was made to feel secure from their interaction with their caregiver or what they would call an attachment figure. So that attachment figure was available emotionally, mentally, and physically for that child. And so it was almost downloaded kind of in their central nervous system or their brain that they have a secure base so they can go off and play and they can come back and mom, dad, caregiver, whoever it is going to be there for them. And they develop a sense of safety. So in their relationships in their adult life, because our attachment styles will actually carry over into our relationships in our adult life. So our relationships in our adult life, that person will also feel safe and secure in themselves and then in their relationships. So attachment style has a lot to do with even the partner that we will select. We'll get into that a little bit more. So the next type of attachment style is an insecure attachment style. And within an insecure attachment style, there are three types of insecure attachment style. So there is anxious attachment style, there's avoidant attachment style, and there's disorganized, which is a little bit of both. So if somebody has an anxious attachment style, oftentimes if people call me, they're ready to come into counseling and they say, I'm dealing with some relationship stress or marital stress, most often we're gonna have a conversation about attachment styles. It's really important to get that information right at the beginning so we know what we're working with. So with an anxious attachment style, that child may not have had that experience where they felt safe based on their interactions with the caregiver. So that has a lot to do with what was happening in the family system when that person was a youngster. So it could be addiction in the home, it could be trauma, it could be intergenerational trauma. It could be how emotionally, mentally, physically available those caregivers were. And if they weren't, things like alcoholism can affect that, addiction in general, having a punitive parent, that affects the style of attachment for that person. So if there's an anxious attachment style, it's basically anxious attachment is the way that the person learned to cope with the insecure attachment. So how that's going to play out in adult relationships is the person is not going to feel safe in their relationship, and so that's where we see a lot of those behaviors where it might we might call it needy behavior, or we start to feel very insecure, and almost when in a relationship we feel a little triggered when we have an anxious attachment style. So there might be a mental fixation on the relationship. That's where the term codependency comes into play, where that person feels almost like a sense of addiction in their relationship. They fixate. We see a lot of jealousy with anxious attachment, and the person is just always wants to cling on to the person. And so they tend to be attracted, an anxious attachment style tends to be attracted to the other way that people will cope with an insecure base, which is avoidant attachment style. So the example that I always use for avoidant attachment style is Jerry Seinfeld from Seinfeld. So Jerry comes up with all these different reasons why he has to not be in the relationship with these women, and they might be perfect for him, but then he'll find all these little faults, things like the episode Man Hands. So avoidant attachment style kind of keeps people at an arm's length. So they don't necessarily want to not be in a relationship. They want somebody there because there is that insecure base. So they don't have that sense of safety within themselves. So they want somebody around, but they don't want them all the way in. So they'll let them in to some degree, but for the most part, they're going to be kind of emotionally distant. So sometimes it's those stereotypes, maybe that emotionally unavailable male, or guys that come in and see me, they might be that person that's 30, 40, 50 years old and still playing the field, and they don't want to hurt somebody, but really oftentimes it's about they don't want to commit to a degree that they might get hurt. So that is avoidant attachment. And somebody with an insecure attachment, tends to be with someone with an avoidant attachment. And so it's this constant chase, and the more the person with the anxious attachment style chases the person with an avoidant attachment, the more they're just going to kind of avoid, and it's kind of like a lock and key. Attachment styles can heal, and they can heal in relationships as long as both parties are willing to talk about it, communicate about it, and really express their own needs. So the avoidant attachment person might have to say, look, I need space, I need time, it's really important for me. And that anxious attachment person might say, I need validation, I need you to say certain things to me to make me just know that you care. So disorganized is the last style, and it's a little bit of both. So the person feels clingy, they feel insecure, they feel like they need that person around, but they also don't want to let them in. So it's kind of like that idea of keeping the person at arm's length, but holding on to them at the same time. So I hope this helps. I'd love some feedback on what you guys think. If you had some experience with attachment style work in the past, I'm going to attach a link below for a free assessment or a questionnaire. It's right online, so you can print out the copy and take the exam and find out exactly what your attachment style is. And if you're with a partner, ask them to do the same thing, and